This is Hard Parking, brought to you by Right Honda and Right Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona. And of course, unless this is your first time listening to the show, I am your host, Jhae Pfenning. Coming up on today's show, Wes Tankersley was in town. He is now gone, but Wes Tankersley and Tattoo Dad Sean is in town, and they came in studio. So we ended up talking about what we were going to do this weekend. Of course, you know, the weekend's already passed because this is Monday now. And we talk a little car news. We talk a little drink. Talk a little golf. Also, you know, I went to Cape Cod over the Labor Day weekend, as you already know, but not going to get into any details right now. I'll save that for the next episode. So after this word from 4 Wheel Online, Wes Tankersley. Jhae Pfenning here, and I want to tell you guys about 4 Wheel Online. For over a decade, 4 Wheel Online has been bringing the best truck accessories and truck parts to enhance the appearance and performance of all trucks and SUVs. They are dedicated to providing an extensive range of upgrades that will match any maker model on the road. The truck products cover everything you need to give your truck a custom look and added functionality. And if you need a tire and wheel package, head over and use the configuration tool. They carry all the major brands of wheels and tires, so go get outfitted today. So visit them online at 4Wheel Online or call them at 813-769-2451. Again, that's 4Wheel Online, the number 4 Wheel Online. In studio, as promised, Wesley Tankersley back for the second, maybe second or third.
Second.
Brought security guard with him. Sean Tattoo Dad is in the background drinking my booze. Wes is also drinking my booze. Wes, what's up?
Hey, I brought booze. Heaven's Gate?
Heaven's Gate. I don't know if the microphone can pick it up because don't look at me like that.
Heaven's Gate.
Like, look down when you talk to me. And it's fucking.
You don't like it when I look at you in the eyes?
I don't know how Sean, dude. I don't know. Yeah. Don't swallow the goddamn mic.
Sorry.
It becomes an editing nightmare. So you guys are going to do some golfing while you're here, right? Because by the time this comes out, this would have already happened, and it would be some super weird, like, Inception-ish shit.
Well, I don't want to say that I'm here because Jay lives here, but I'm here because Jay lives here. But I'm also going golfing. So, yeah, we're going to hit up TPC Championship course tomorrow, which is super sweet. I've played there once before, and then we're going to play, then we're going to hang out. We're going to go have a drink with some buds, some friends from One Drink Wednesday.
One Drink Wednesday crew.
Yeah.
I think Turkey. And again, but hopefully, well, I don't know if Turkey listens to this. Catherine, she's a Patreon, but I don't know if she's caught up. Drew listens to this.
Yeah.
So you'll hear his name. So I think Drew's definitely coming out. I think they're all coming out. My buddy Will said he's probably going to come out with the Lotus. And you guys can all, show everyone your tattoos because he joined that one time. I think you may have joined that day too, but it was like a tattoo show off because he has the Marvel sleeve and you have the DC sleeve.
Oh, it's Will with the sleeve.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's super cool because I want to be able to meet those people. Drew hooked me up with a rental from Westgate Exotics, which was super cool. He picked me up at the airport today. It's going to be fun, man. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see you because that's, we talk every single damn day, but now we get to talk in person. So.
Sweet, man. They used to always tell me at work, like I chatted up with people, instant message, and we'll have these full fucking blown conversations. And then you sit next to me at break and I'll say shit to you.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Weird. That's the way that the world is though. It's like we all communicate differently now than we did 20 years ago.
Yeah. And shout out to Westgate Exotic Cars and Rentals. So they are a sponsor of the podcast as well via Patreon business supporter. So what do you get? What did he give you guys?
So we got a 2021 Jeep Gladiator. I can't remember what the submodel is because there's so many of them. So Sean, who's sitting over here, he's got a Mojave, which is like the top of the line one.
Of course he does.
And then Rubicon. And then I think that, I don't know if it's because like the Jeep, the Wrangler Sport is the one that is kind of like the base model. But this is like one above that, I think. So
that's the one with the little wheels, the little tires.
Wrangler, Rubicon, Mojave.
Okay.
I think he's Rubicon.
Oh, it's a Rubicon. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So Rubicon's a big one. I had a Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon, probably about 4 months ago. So
Rubicon is the decked out 4-door, right? And the Wrangler is a traditional 2-door. Is it just
Rubicon, but also Rubicon comes in the 2-door too, because it has like the detachable, sway bar, end links and all that stuff so that you can go off road with it. The Mojave, which Sean has, like when I first saw it, like it has reservoir shocks on it and everything. It has like Fox shocks on it. It's pretty badass.
I think we got to show Jay some pictures.
Sean's digging in his 2006 Motorola Razr over there. So we're going to look at this 180 by 240 resolution picture of this thing. So
Brother Bear, this is iPhone 13, but all right.
speaking of iPhone, the 14 just came out or just got announced. I was trying to read the specs. I may upgrade because I try to upgrade every 2.
Yeah.
And I think my 12 Pro Max is good. It's got a 12 megapixel camera. The fucking new one has a 48.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's nice, man.
Yeah, the thing is with that is like what you and I do. It's like you taking pictures of your stuff all the time and everything, and more megapixels, more clear image, right?
So we're looking at Tattoo Dad 84. That's on Instagram. That's he's sitting in here with us. Tattoo Dad 84 and his Mojave. If you're glancing at this, it looks like a Hummer.
He said
way sicker than a Hummer, though. But
He's right.
I see what you're saying.
You see? Right.
I don't discount that.
I thought I had too many drinks, and I've only had 2 sips out of this one. So far, are you loving it? I mean, it's cool that he hooked you up with it. So if anyone comes to Phoenix, make sure you hit up C8 Matrix, Drew Bunkley, Westgate, Exotic Cars and Rentals. What you liking it so far?
Yeah, I was super impressed. It's an awesome ride. I love the truck. Like if I ever got another Jeep, it would be the Renegade just like that. But I'd probably get a Mojave just because it looks a little more beefy. But this thing's lifted. It's got some nice tires and wheels on it. He came and picked me up at the airport. He talked to me. It was really cool to see Drew because I've had Drew on the podcast before, and he's on One Drink Wednesday all the time. So yeah,
he's great because he's come over here like you and sitting in that same seat. That's a hell of a responsibility to sit across from me.
I have been graced with your presence twice now in your studio. So
it seems like you wanted. So it's been twice.
Yeah,
because you've been here 3 times, but you've only been sitting in front of me twice.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought you came over for the NSX, which we're gonna go out. So you'll probably have already told the story. For One Drink Wednesday in 2 days. So
yeah, that's right.
We can't talk about what you guys have seen in the garage because the world doesn't really know.
It's pretty dope. That's all I can say.
Oh, we got graced by that, huh?
Yeah,
People don't know yet.
People don't know. No. I did an Instagram tease with just the giant tires. That's about. I mean, there's a few people who know. But overall, not really.
You gonna give anything away for what the reveal may be?
No. It's a damn good idea, but no.
I appreciate that.
So what else are you guys gonna do?
So that's pretty much it, man. We just came down here. I've tried to connect with you a couple times this year, and it's just like things have kind of gotten away, and now we got the chance, man. So we went and we headed out to Caldwell Barbecue today, which was freaking.
Oh yeah. That
was some good stuff, man. It was pretty dope, and even like the mac and cheese, the beans, we had ribs and brisket, and that was a good call.
Yeah, it's funny because it's one of those places where you drive by it all the time, and it's like, oh, we need to go there. We need to go there because they used to have a sign on like an old John Deere on the side of the road, and the pandemic era came, which I think we're still kind of in it, but we're weaning off of it as a society.
Yeah.
But so many restaurants closed, so our thought was like, shit, we got to try that place out before it fucking closes. And we went. We're like, holy shit. And I think I've been there half a dozen times, and it's been great maybe 5 times. There's some, barbecue is all about timing, in my opinion.
Right.
You can go to the best place, and it can be, 8:45 at night, and they close at 9, and the barbecue's going to taste like shit. It's going to be all tough.
Yeah, because they take that barbecue and they start it in the morning, right? And so it sits in there, and it just kind of gets old over the day. But when we rolled in there, Sean and I looked at each other and we're like, this is a fucking barbecue joint. Like they have freaking like 12 big old giant smokers.
Fucking old propane tanks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. With the lids open. And when I was in Texas like 2 years ago, I was telling Sean about this. I hadn't seen those before. There was that's the first time I've seen those in a long time with the big smokers like that. Because when I was in Texas, you walk in there and all the barbecues have those.
Yeah.
And one of them we walked into, like they open up the lid and like they have it all right there. What do you want? You pick it right off the grill.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's some next level shit.
Yep.
So where we're going tomorrow, downtown Gilbert, there's Joe's Barbecue, which is pretty popular. Not saying you guys need to eat it, but it was kind of my favorite before we discovered this one right down the street. And I think there's some other barbecue joint down there. It's weird how many of these places are popping up all over Phoenix.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. You don't really think of like Phoenix as being like a barbecue area. Like if I was thinking of barbecue, I always think of Texas, right? Or like
Kansas City.
Yeah. Or even like Georgia or like over, that area.
You don't think of the McRib?
Definitely not. Is that meat?
Whatever it is, people love it.
Do you love it? Let's talk about that. Have you had that before?
I have. I don't remember. What I remember is it tasted kind of like a dark meat, giant flat chicken nugget.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like a damn chicken nugget, but it's rib meat.
Yeah, but like the old chicken. Well, chicken nuggets used to have some rib meat in them in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And even in, I think, the early 2000s, now they claim this all white, breast meat. But I mean, one could argue the dark meat on the chicken is the best anyway. It may not be the best for you, but it's the most flavorful.
Dude, I definitely like that. I'm a leg and thigh guy. Like I don't like, my wife's always, I want the breast. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead and have it. Good. I'll eat the other stuff.
Note that Wes has big legs and thighs too, so.
And he looks for guys who have the same quality.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Birds of a feather waddle together, right? What do you think of this? Well, let's give Kurt Olvey a shout out here. What do you think of this real-time
It's pretty good. Yeah, Kurt's sponsors the show too, right? So. Yep.
He's a 4-Wheel Online.
Yeah, it's pretty good. He hooked me up with some wheels and tires for my Jeep, and that was super cool. That's how I kind of got the connection. Drew and I were talking today at the airport about you, because that's really what you are. You're a connector. Like you.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Kurt.
We are talking about Kurt, but you introduced me to Kurt, and that was kind of the thing. It's like all these connections that you have, all these relationships that you built, and Kurt's one of those. And I got to get a bottle from him. I'm gonna have to just send him some money and force him to send me a bottle.
I'll make sure I forward this segment to him. You know how Kurt and I know each other?
How's that?
NSX cars. That's how I know almost everybody.
So Kurt has one, right?
He does. He has a turboed NSX, red and black, and he has like 10,000 Porsche Cayennes, and then a handful of like Aston Martins.
And he's got a Tesla now too.
And he has a stupid Tesla.
And he calls it a stupid Tesla, but he's got it.
Yeah. Speaking of Tesla, we want to do some car news.
Let's do it.
Let's do some car news. So the EPA hits 2 more diesel tuners with $10 million fine for defeat devices. I saw this on Road and Track. I did not read the article because I hate reading, but I feel like you don't have to read the article to know what's going on here. And I thought the EPA got a smackdown by the Supreme Court recently, so I thought they were off everyone's back, but apparently not.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
So you're just talking about like the diesel coal rollers and stuff like that, trying to keep it clean.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, because the car purists will say, well, the EPA's always had that, and they always have, they just never enforced it. But, I think that what's key here is it's defeat devices, which means you put it on your car and you can go through the Department of Motor Vehicles and get your vehicle signed off, and you're still killing, the ozone. So like I have the Fowlers, I think is what they're called.
Yeah.
I have Fowler extenders on my Infiniti. So I guess I'm one of these people, but the big difference is the coal rollers, I'm not a coal roller. It's just getting a new catalytic converter for my Infiniti was on national back order. It's $1,500 if you can get it. I just bought the car. I needed to find a way to do it, and so I did it. And what's funny is for a while the check engine light was going on and off, like intermittently, not blinking, but intermittently over the course of like 6 months, and that thing hasn't come on in like a year.
Well, it's ridiculous.
Have a computer to turn it off yourself, or did you have to take it in every time?
So I tried that, and they know it. So I was sitting outside, and it came on. I turned that shit off. I rolled there, and they started running it, because now they plug it in. They don't stick the thing up they don't give your car a suppository. They fucking plug into the computer.
Yeah.
I'm like, this thing's been reset. I'm like, oh really? I just bought the car. I had no idea. Like, yeah, run it and come bring it back, and fucking. So I just had to get lucky. I was sweating ass too. I was sitting in line, and the light hadn't come on. I'm like, shit. Don't fucking come on. Don't fucking come on. Past emissions came on the next day.
You're just waiting for it every day.
Yeah.
To come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, because those things anyway, like the coal roller people, they're stacking chips on there. So you can take those chips out. You can take and you can just turn it off or put it back in the mode that you want it to. But when you're doing the programmer and like when I was working at Les Schwab in California, they used to do like a bully dog with a hyper chip with all that stuff, and they can just tune it a certain way, get it to blow smoke, and then just turn it off. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of defeatist, because you can't really stop it from happening.
So a little bit more about this is both companies are owned by Nicholas Piccolo, who also faces basically a $500,000 civil penalty for his failure to respond to EPA's initial information request related to the business. So it looks like they've tried to reach out to him in 2021, and based on their non-compliance in 2013 as well. So he's been kind of avoiding them. So they're finally like, got you, bitch. So it's not like they kicked down the door and ran through his books and then decided to find him. It seems like this was kind of something that was kind of in the works, but I don't, on the old NSX, I had no cats, but it was also a collector vehicle and it had forced induction. So it breathes better without it. And so I was one of those people, but I think one of the biggest issues is getting fined for being loud.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hate coal rollers, and I don't know what's worse.
The thing is, though, is like your NSX is not doing the same thing that those coal rollers are doing. It's like it is, it emits maybe something else, but you can't see it. These guys who are dumping coal are blowing black smoke all over the place. They're crazy.
Calling attention to themselves.
Yeah.
Well, and Jay, I may be overstepping my boundaries, but why'd you get rid of your old NSX?
Why'd I get rid of the old car? It was just time for me to move on, I think. I've had it for 9 years. I needed more than one cool car. I couldn't have two at the same time. And it took something like the Type S to come out, and I didn't know if I could afford it when it was announced.
Wait, does everybody know you have a Type S?
Yeah, everyone knows I have it. Yeah.
I don't know what people know or don't know.
Yeah, we're not breaking news. Everyone knows I have a Type S.
You had a couple options though. Like you weren't getting you thought about more than just the Type S, right? Like you were thinking about other cars too, but your heart was really there.
The reason is because I didn't know, right? I didn't know. I was assured I was the one allocation for the dealership, but
they get one allocation.
Some dealerships got none.
Right.
Some got two. I was lucky enough. Mine got one.
Locally here in Arizona?
Yep. Active Tempe. And then I didn't know if I was going to still have a job because I'm a contractor, so there's a proof of income.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that had to happen. So even up until the car was ready, I knew I could get insurance just through Grundy. But there's a lot of other unknowns.
You were super you weren't sure. Because
you talked to me every day.
We had this conversation. It's like, I still don't know. Like the job it was like it had to happen in a specific way and you couldn't quit one job because if you did, then it wouldn't show that you had the income and all that stuff.
Right. And all that still got screwed up, but then the car got delayed. So then it all worked out.
Yeah.
In like a super weird way. But that's kind of why I did it. And I didn't want to announce that I was doing it because I didn't want to jinx myself. It's weird because, I'm not into that. But the one time that it happens, I would end up the stars would not align and I would just be screwed. So
I don't know. I think it's interesting. We were talking about this a little bit today because Sean was asking me about how Sean is tattoo dead, if you don't know, but we were talking about you and how kind of like super humble you are and how you.
My wife would disagree with that.
She's wrong. And she doesn't listen, so I can say that. She's wrong.
Doesn't. What's funny? She tells people. And actually, people are like, oh, your husband has a podcast? Yeah, what's it about? Is it about cars? No, it's about all sorts of things, and it's about, he's had people on there. He's had Adam Carolla. He's had da-da-da-da. Do you listen to it? She goes, yeah, sometimes. I don't think she's listened to an episode in a year.
Well, I just know that
my son listens.
The conversations that we have every single day, because we've talked about this before, and my wife doesn't listen either. So I talk to you more than I talk to my wife. I'm pretty damn sure. And it's just crazy because you're kind of like, you're like the devil's advocate with me. And we talk about shit all the time. You're like, well, there's this too, but what do you think about this? We're always going back and forth about what it is. And that's what I really enjoy about our friendship is that we're able to have an adult conversation and not be pissed off at each other if we don't agree on something. It's kind of crazy.
I try to dig some of this controversy out of him. I'm looking at Sean, Tattoo Dad, 84. I try to dig this controversy out of him on One Drink Wednesday, and he just refuses to dive in.
It's so funny because we talk about that shit, and you're like, I'm so afraid of offending anyone. That's the way it is, and
me too. Although you wouldn't think so.
Yeah, but you're like, dude, you don't have to talk to me that way. You can talk to me normal. It's funny.
Wow, you guys are like an old married couple a little bit. Kind of awkward at times, but yeah. There's been a relationship in there for a couple years.
I don't know.
Weird, a little bit cool,
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that I never would have really thought. We talked a little bit about today, how this relationship that we have happen because it's just nuts that.
Oh, so you guys do have a relationship?
We do.
Yeah, it's very intimate.
Yes. As a matter of fact, can you?
Yeah. Can you give us a minute, Sean? Sean, can you give us a minute?
We need a minute. But I mean, the thing is like you would never think COVID brings things, it was shitty for a lot of things and it brought a lot of good things too. So, I'm thankful that I've had the podcast that I've had. I'm thankful for your podcast and like listening to you and kind of mentoring me as far as like sound and things like that go. But we always bounce ideas off each other. And it's super cool to be able to have that type of conversation every single day,
Jay, could we back up for 2 seconds here? When you got rid of your old NSX, did you care who you sold it to?
That's an excellent question. And the answer is really no. But I end up selling it to a good friend of mine anyway here in town.
Oh, so you know the guy who owns it now.
Yeah. So I had 3 buyers in line that were all 3 personal friends. Now, Yoshi, who also doesn't listen to the podcast, bought the car and, much to my surprise, doesn't know shit about cars.
Nothing.
He very little. He's one of those car enthusiasts who likes cars but doesn't really know much about them.
He has an appreciation, but he doesn't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So when he posted it, he was like, "Oh, dreams do come true. Dream car alert, whatever." I'm like, "Dream car? You don't know? I don't even know if you know this is a Honda." You know what I mean? So.
What has he done to it since it's been his? Anything?
Well, first off, if it's your dream car, you should know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Right. You should know. And Sean's not. Sean worked at a Porsche dealership for a while, but he wanted. It's kind of funny because he wanted so much for people not to look at that car and say that's Jay's car.
Mm.
As soon as he buys it, he posts it on Instagram. And everyone's like, dude, you got Jay's car. And it actually took 4 months at least for people to think that he actually really bought my car.
Yeah.
Because he and I have played this game in the past where I needed to store a car, I'd store it at his house, or I'd store his car at my house. And, everyone's like, oh, April Fools. I'm guaranteed there's probably still people who think that I still own that car.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that's 100% Yoshi's car. So what did he do? He put on some new side skirts, which it needed. He swapped out my carbon fiber seats for some like regular NSX seats, which I was kind of waffling back and forth on doing. And it needed some maintenance, because it's an aftermarket turbo vehicle. I drove around in its spirit, nicely. And I think he had to get a few things rebuilt, a few brackets fixed, stuff like that. But he doesn't care,
Minor cosmetics, though. Yeah,
nothing major, fortunately. But it's still weird because it's like, hey, I just got your car and the radio stopped working. I'm like, fuck, or this thing fell off or this thing stopped working. What does that mean?
Whoa. Jay, do you feel responsible for him telling you that the little things were going wrong like that?
You know what it is? It's one of those things where it's like you bought the car, it's your problem, but at the same time we have a relationship.
As is. Everybody says as is when you turn it over to somebody else.
It's true, but it's like, God, this motherfucker's going to think I sold him a lemon. You know what I mean? So it's that,
Sure.
Yeah, but I think the thing is like if you think about the car, the other day on One Drink Wednesday, when you were showing us the new one, you went into the garage and you started showing us some of the stuff that you did to it to get it to what it was when it was wrapped and everything like that. You got to know that thing was like totally gone through. There was so many things that you did to it to make it not stock. So like you got to understand that that's not a stock car, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, there's cooler stuff coming on his NSX.
Oh, the new one, yeah. But for the old one, and yeah, he's never complained about it, at least not to me.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of the same circles, and everybody knows I'm not that guy. But you still kind of feel like, fuck, man. The motor just blew on you and you pull it, which hasn't happened, by the way. But, this is kind of one of those things. But it's funny because also I'm thinking, okay, you don't really know anything about these cars. You're going to fuck it up.
Right.
And I can't take responsibility for that because he'd hit me up one day and he's like, hey, the oil pressure sensor shot way up. Is that normal? I was like, I don't think I ever noticed that, but I've driven an aftermarket turbo car for 4 or 5 years. Maybe it does do that. I've just never paid attention.
Right.
But I said, but if I'm you, I stop driving it, take it home, put it on your car lift, drive your Ferrari or your other 3 cars and take it to Science of Speed, which is the shop that I always take my car to. He's like, oh, yeah, I have an appointment with so-and-so shop. I'm like, dude, why are you fucking around with that shop? Take it to Science of Speed right down the street from your house. And then finally he took it to Science of Speed. So it's
but they have like records on that car probably, right? Because they've done everything to it.
Yeah.
Because that's where he took it to get tuned.
Exactly.
The whole time, right?
Yeah. And that's where everyone sends their cars from all over the United States. You know, you walk into Science of Speed and they have NSXs from everywhere.
That's where you go.
That's where you go, and it's right down the street. So it's like, dude, stop fucking around.
People who know cars know that that's where you go.
People who know NSXs.
Yeah.
It's like one of 3 places that everyone goes. But yeah, EPA's fucking with people. Also in car news.
We got off on a tangent.
Off on a good tangent. So also in news, Fortnite, YouTube, 1.5 million subscribers posted a video. Tesla Autopilot crashes into motorcycle riders. Why? 6 days ago, 500,000 views. By the time this comes out, it'll probably be 1 million views.
Oh, shit.
It's a very 8-minute video, very well done. And it talks about how the Autopilot, all the issues with the Autopilot. And when I had the Tesla, I kept complaining about, the one that, Drew Bunkley lent me. I kept complaining about it's Autopilot, but you have to pay attention to it 100% of the time, which defeats the whole purpose mentally of having an Autopilot.
Did you use the Autopilot on when you had it? Like it was, because that car was a little bit older, right?
That was I think a 2019.
Okay.
Tesla Model 4. Maybe 18. I want to say 19. And I tried to use it. And my wife always wanted a Tesla because she's like, I want a car where I can just sit back and do my work and not pay attention. I was like, no, you have to pay attention.
That's
the car
not how it
makes
works.
You pay attention.
Yeah.
Bitches don't want to do shit.
You got a point.
But the thing is, I don't understand is how does this happen when and it's a different software, but for the car that I had from Drew, it forced you to pay attention. You couldn't doze, you couldn't fall asleep, you couldn't, whatever. So I'm like, how are they hitting people? Someone's still behind that wheel.
Yeah, I don't. The funny thing about that is like, does your NSX have all the bells and whistles like that? So like our Pilot has, you hit the yellow line, it shakes. You get close to a car, it brakes for you. Like, is that essentially the same thing as what that is? Or is it a little bit different than that?
My car may have some of that. I don't know. They dropped the ball on a lot of what the NSX has. But with the Tesla, they have this really cool radar system where it looks like 100 and something feet in front of the car, at least. And it actually draws everything you're looking at on the screen, which is to me the coolest thing ever. Like if there's a trash can there, you'll see the trash can in almost like an AutoCAD drawing on your screen. But what this article or this video was saying is that they suspect that in both these incidents, they were motorcycles that got killed. And since this thing got released 5 days ago, another person that got killed on a motorcycle.
So like it doesn't recognize motorcycles.
Recognize the depth. So it's probably seeing the motorcycle taillights because they're always lower and probably thinks that it's a car, in the far distance until, it's late. And one of the things the guy said though, that was kind of crazy to me is, and I don't know if this is true or not. I'm pretty sure if you're going to put on a video with 1.5 million followers, you've probably done your homework.
Yeah.
Although he did say that Tesla makes billions of dollars off of selling people add-ons, features that aren't going to be available until the future. And a couple episodes ago, I had reported that it took Tesla 18 years to get its first profitable, I think, quarter, not entire year. So there's that statement. It's like, no, that's not entirely true. But, one thing he did say is that the Autopilot in a Tesla is programmed to automatically turn off a second before an impact. And if that's the case, it's like, okay, well, now who do you blame?
Right.
You blame the driver or the car. And that's kind of that weird iRobot type, because everything's driven by money.
Right.
And, they took the radar out of the front bumper that they used to have and to save money and to save this and to save that. But I don't know. I think Teslas are great. I think autonomy in transportation is cool. It takes away from the driver. A lot of people don't care. They just want something to take them from point A to point B. They just want their own personal theme park ride.
Right.
Essentially. And that's where we're going. But I've always been skeptical on this whole Autopilot. And they've also talked about renaming it from Autopilot to something else because it's misleading. But but I'm just not ready to let a car drive for me.
Well, what is Tesla's take on that deal? Because I feel like they call it autopilot, but they expect you to pay attention to what you're doing when you're driving, right? Because that's really the thing. It's like you can't just go to sleep and let that car drive itself.
Right. It won't let you. And I think they've probably tweaked it over the years. And there's two sides to every discussion.
Right.
This is a very one-sided leaning video, and it's pretty clear. It's an extremely well-done video. But in the video, they do play some clips of like Elon Musk talking about these type of things. Can people find
this on YouTube?
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to post the link in the notes of this episode, so all 6 people who listen to this podcast will be able to watch it themselves.
It's way more than 6.
All 16 people who listen to this podcast,
24,
can watch it themselves. But he's, because what the main guy in the video had said is they should use LiDAR instead of radar, and it's a lot more expensive. But Elon Musk in the video, it said that, he was saying LiDAR is no good, and people were kind of looking at him. So it's kind of controversial, but
I'm pretty interested in like Elon Musk. So like I've been listening to his book and I haven't got through it, but that guy is like throw a ton of money at it, see what happens, and just see, and then go with it. Right. So like he did the same thing with rockets. I think I watched, there's a documentary on Netflix, and the same thing with the rockets. Like he spent so much money getting those things to land where they were going to land, and so he's going to figure it out one way or another. It's just going to cost a lot of money. Right? Exactly.
Well, just so you guys know, you're a little bit behind the times. Tesla is an official pizza cutter at this point.
I'm watching a video of Tesla cutting a pizza. Is it the door? Yes, it is the door. Brendan McDermott, is that to show that the door doesn't, that could be a person? You think that the computer would recognize that it's squeezing somebody in the door and release?
It won't hurt fingers, but it will cut pizza.
Interesting. We just watched an Instagram reel or video or whatever, but
Tesla cutting pizza.
Oh, that's amazing.
I don't know. It's I'm not thumbs down on Tesla at all. I know it probably sounds like I am. But it's like one of these things, because 2 deaths, now 3. It's terrible. I don't think it's enough to move the needle. I'm pretty sure Tesla cares about it, and they're working on trying to prevent this.
Yeah.
But I likened it to airplanes, right? If one airplane crashes a month, or a commercial flight, in a couple months, people are going to start to freak out and not fly.
Right.
And that one flight in 1 month is like 0.0000004 error rate, which is remarkable with anything other than when it involves people.
Yep.
And so these two and I'm not advocating, but I'm just saying, realistically speaking, the numbers are usually what make people move the needle, right? The numbers are, if 2 people have died from getting ran over by Teslas, and how many Teslas are there? And how long have they been around? 18, 19 years. Statistically, that's a really small error rate.
Exactly.
And so it's going to take more deaths, I think, for the government to, put their foot down and say no more autonomy, or what? Because now they have the, what is it called? Smart. Now I'm going to sound old, but it's like adaptive cruise control, right? That's the one that slows down when the car is in front of you. Right. I've had a few rental cars that have done that lately. I'm like, wow, this is great.
Mine, coming from a 97. Like that. It slows me down and beep, beep, beep as somebody's slowing down if I'm not slowing down.
And that's fantastic, right? I mean,
No, I hate it.
Do you hate it?
I hate it so much because I'm watching.
Same thing. The Pilot's the same way. Like it has, like you can set it so it's 4 car lengths or 2 car lengths or 1 car length. And it's a pain in the ass.
I think I wouldn't set it, but I mean, I think it's cool, but I can also see how it could be a major pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. The lane departure warning is a major pain in the ass. I had a BMW rental and I couldn't fucking figure out how to turn it off. And I was going down, I was going through country roads, like 2-lane swooping country roads. And that thing was just like, kept fighting me the whole time.
He's like, I couldn't figure it out.
No, there was no override button, you know?
Right.
Oh, dude, that 4Runner that I rented in California last time, it was the same thing. It's like, holy shit, you're in the white lines. Of course I'm in the white lines. I'm looking at
I'm trying to fucking cross. I'm literally trying to change lanes and this thing is fighting me.
But let's be honest. I mean, like you think about it, like, so I get in the Pilot, which I don't drive very often, and my wife has been driving it, and she can't figure out why it's
so. That's the one she wrecked, right?
Yeah, It's the one she wrecked. Exactly. She can't figure out why like the lane departure thing is on, and she can't figure out how to turn it off. And I push a button. I'm like, shit's off. And how often does your wife use cruise control? Because my wife never touches it.
You know, Yvette does cruise control in her 2011 Audi A4, and she uses it because she likes to speed.
Stop herself from speeding.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. When she used to have to drive to downtown Phoenix to work where her office was, corner office, way up, like skyscraper before. They ended up giving her office away before the pandemic era because she never came into work. Shit. So she was like full remote. But yeah, she would always set it to cruise control.
Was a corner office.
You know what's funny is she always says I drive like an old man. I drive slow, and I'm like, you have no idea how I drive when people aren't in the car with me.
Oh no shit! You don't have to. You're the only person that you could hurt.
Exactly. You know where that comes from is when we first got married. I had the kid. I had an Instafam. You know, put them in the microwave. Boom, 2 kids, right? And I'm driving the.
I don't know if you know this or not, but Tattoo Dad has 5 children.
Yeah. When you're driving the car, you're not going to drive, like, get out of the fucking way, like you're racing the clock. Yeah, you're going to drive semi-conservative. And so ever since then, she said I drive like an old man. I'm like, no.
I'm protecting my cargo.
Yeah. I don't drive like an old man in the other NSX. I sure as hell don't drive like one in this one.
Oh, I've been in that NSX.
But how we are as guys, when our women talk to us that way, we just say, yeah, you're right. And we move on.
That's right, honey. Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
You're right.
You got it.
Can you fetch me my walker and a glass of warm milk?
A glass of warm milk.
And that is the car second. Oh, what car? Yeah, fuck. And that is the car news. I want to thank Wes Tankersley and Mr. Tattoo Dad himself, Sean, for coming in the studio, coming into town. Had a great time with them. Of course, that entire conversation was brought to you by the Cell Shop, an Arizona-based retailer that strives to be your destination of choice of wireless services, whether Arizona or Washington State. They are an authorized AT&T detailer, so visit them at cellshop.us and get connected today. So Mr. Drew Bunkley could not make it out with us, but Turkey was there and Kat was there. Will, Liz, and Emerson came by as well. That's my fishing buddy, Mr. Will Leitner. We had a good time. We had a really good time. I want to thank Right Honda and Right Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona, 4wheelonline.com. We mentioned him earlier. Of course, we drank most of the real-time rye bourbon that he sent. Cell Shop Wireless Services, Westgate Exotic Cars and Rentals. Again, a special shout-out to Mr. Bunkley for that one. Can't forget Patreon Business Support of Koya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida. Pell Construction out of Caledonia, Michigan. And Beeg House Small Home Design out of Ashburn, Virginia, and Traverse City, Michigan. If you're in a position to help the podcast upgrade, join the Patreon for as low as $3 a month and get access to bonus audio as well as show swag. I want to thank Mark Stoneman, Catherine Cox, Eddie Ramos, Richard Graves, Byron Jones, Bo Jung, Alice Gamina, and Drew Bunkley. If you're interested in picking up a Hard Parking Podcast shirt, I still have them. I make them. I still have those shirts. We're collecting money, and we're going to get that money toward a good cause. If you have anything for the show, hardparkingpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Jhae Pfenning. That's JhaePfenning. If I said it's too fast, so what? The show is literally on the name description. Join the Hard Parking Violations Facebook group. We are up over 300, and I am so proud. I can't grow without you telling the world how great this show is, so let's do this. Let's grow this thing together. And I'll talk to you all next week. Shut up!
A beater